do I even start this? Hey guys! Okay, so as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about a subject that is not so pleasant. First, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If this is the first time you're watching me, my name is Vienna Ortiz. I've been making planning videos on my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, since 2014, off and on. I started on Instagram first, and that was about 6 years ago now. So welcome to my channel. I hope you stay. I look forward to making a lot more planning and organization videos for you. But today, I wanted to talk about something not so pleasant. And that is how I think my Instagram got hacked. I actually don't know how it was hacked, but I'm going to tell you what happened when it was hacked. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on what this has helped me to recognize, realize, whatever it might be. So first of all, if you've been in this situation, I'm sorry. It sucks really bad. It's horrible. And I also want to make clear that we are talking about Instagram. We're talking about a social media platform. There's so many other things in life that are so much more important and bigger than this, so I do want to make that clear. When you put things into perspective, when things like this happen, or even just in general, and you recognize that in the grand scheme of life, this is really a really minuscule thing. And while it's horrible at the time, and while it's a really horrible thing to happen to somebody, there are so many other things going on in the world and have been going on in the world. So I just want to make that clear before I continue, that I know it is a very trivial thing. And so with that being said, I want to continue on with the story time. So first of all, this is very fresh and new to me. Today is the 5th, and this happened to me on the 3rd. So it's very fresh and new still. I'm still dealing with a lot of emotions and a lot of things that I'm working through, but I feel like I want to be able to warn other people what's actually been going on. So on July, actually a week before July 3rd, this all started, I received a DM, and the DM was from somebody that I believe I have spoken to this person a couple times. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, when her DM came in, there was no previous conversations, but the DM was very dry. It was basically that she had spent a lot of time putting together this video that included some of my photos in it. Now, to somebody else, I guess this might be like a huge red flag. But for me, this is not necessarily abnormal. I guess I've had people, want to include my photos somewhere, or I've had people put stuff on Pinterest before, and this is in the past, so I didn't really think anything of it. I'm not the type of person that right away starts thinking I'm being hacked. While I do sometimes start thinking worst case scenarios for other things, I guess when it came to my Instagram profile, I was just like, oh, that's very nice. And it said something like, I worked really hard on this. So of course I fell for it. I went to go see what it was. I don't know if I wasn't thinking. I don't know if I was just like, if I don't look, it's going to be rude. But either way, I fell for it. And a lot of people do fall for these things. I was kicking myself for the longest time that I fell for it. But at the same time, I know that it's happened to other people. So I try not to make myself feel too bad. Fell for it, and then got text messages and DMs, even emails, saying that my account must have been hacked because they were also getting that same DM. A lot of people were saying it doesn't sound like you, I didn't click on it, and I was like, good, don't click on it, I must have been hacked. So right away, I went and changed my password and the email that was connected to my Instagram. So I changed all of that information, and I thought this was it. While I did see that you can turn on two-factor authentication, honestly, I'm going to be quite honest with you, I should have done that. If you haven't done that and you have the ability to do that, please do it. It is there for a reason, and it is something that I didn't realize was something that was going to protect me further. I guess the hacker had already done whatever work needed to be done, which is so weird because it was not a long time that I was hacked for. Like it couldn't have been more than an hour. But I guess it was enough. And so if you don't have that turned on, turn it on. They have created that for a reason. Now, I've had Instagram for so many years, and I had never had this problem before. I just figured changing my password and my email was good enough. I had my phone number connected to my personal. I have a personal Instagram, and I had it connected to that. And I never thought to just like use somebody else's phone number, my husband's or even my parents or anybody else's phone number to get that two-step authentication. I just kind of said, well, I don't have a phone number to use it for, whatever it might be, I'm going to be fine. I changed all the information. Not true. So a week had passed by and I was DMing somebody when I got a message on the side that said it wasn't going to be sent. Like it was a little circle, like an X, a red X. And it reminded me of like when your text messages, they don't send and it's like an error. And so I thought, okay, my internet's down or whatever. But turns out I continued to try to send that DM and it didn't go through. So then it said, you have been locked out. So then I was panicking a little bit because I was like, okay. And it said that it had detected phishing on my account. And phishing, after a little bit of research, is when somebody, a hacker, tries to get information from you through DMs. So that's exactly what had happened to me. And because I clicked on it, I guess Instagram recognized that that had happened and locked me out of my account. Now, I find this super hypocritical. If somebody is phishing in your account and then your account then gets locked and you have to verify your account, which I'll get to in a second, how do they expect that if there's been some abnormal activity on your account? I understand that in theory, you have all your information updated, so you should be able to verify your account. But that's not what happened to me. So that, came up and I went to go verify my account. And when I went to do that, there was an email there that said, at p**.com. There was a few asterisks more .com. And I was like, okay, that's not my email address. So there's no way I can get this verification code. So then panic started to set in a little bit and I was like, okay, what's going on? So for about 30 minutes, I figured out what phishing was. I figured out that most likely I had been hacked. But I just didn't understand how that worked, because what I did immediately after that was I went and I was still in my Instagram account and I went to go and try to work all the settings, to go into settings and change the password. I tried to go into settings and change the email. I tried to go and continue like using Instagram and it wouldn't let me. And so I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do here. However, what I did do was I sent a email to the email that I had changed it to reset the password. And so that email did get to me. And so I reset the password. But as soon as I reset the password, I received a little pop-up that said, verify your account by getting this verification code. And it was the same email again. So I was back to square one. I ended up calling my good friend Jaredelle. She's the Jaredelle Show on Instagram, and kind of told her what happened. And we kind of spitballed a little bit and tried to figure it out, but could not figure it out. I even thought that maybe it was info@the Box, because I used to have that email when I had my Box business. But it just didn't seem that way because there was no T, and the asterisk didn't match up, the wording didn't match up. So the email just didn't look like it matched up. But I had a glimmer of hope thinking that maybe it was that email. Later on, I'll tell you how I found out it wasn't. But throughout the process, I decided that, hey, maybe I could get into my old Box business email and see if the verification code gets there. So at this point, I was pretty much grasping at straws, but I thought better straws than nothing. So I contacted GoDaddy and I asked them if I could restart my domain again. Because basically, when you have a domain, you create an email with that domain. Not to get into too many details, but he basically told me that that domain was bought and that it was being sold for $1,900. And there was no other way that I could get that email connected again unless I paid the $1,900 to do that. So there was no way that that was going to happen, but it's okay because I found out later that it actually wasn't even that email, and I'll tell you how. So supposedly there is a way for Instagram that you can contact Instagram and let them know that this has happened to you and that you think that your Instagram has been hacked. For some reason, for some apparent reason, I cannot get that page to pop up for me. So you're supposed to be able to go into your username and type in forgot password, need more help, and then you're supposed to be able to get to a page that allows you to kind of write in what happened, that you got hacked, and send a bunch of emails to them. For like 3 days, I have not been able to get to that page. And that's because whenever I click on forgot password, it takes me to the page where it says send verification code. And there's 2 emails. And that's how I knew that the first one wasn't mine, because the second one most definitely isn't mine. It looks like an AOL email, and I don't have an AOL email anymore, as well as it definitely doesn't start with an H. So at that point, I was like, okay, definitely not going to be able to send myself a verification code to get into my account. So I found out that basically whatever, or I considered or thought that whatever this hacker did hacked me from a place where I literally cannot like get my verification code to get back into my account. And even if I tried to get back into my account, it would be locked until I verified it. So either way, I had to get verified, and I could not verify it without that code. So it was a circle. But it doesn't end there. So of course I was in a vulnerable state of mind on the 3rd, and it was Hamilton Day. That's when Hamilton was released, and I was waiting for my husband to get home so we could watch it, and I was like, I'm supposed to be just enjoying this day. Anyways, I decided that if somebody could hack into my account, then somebody can hack me out, right? And so I had this brilliant idea at the time, where I would go on YouTube and I would search up, how to unhack your Instagram. And in the comments, there was a bunch of people saying, thanks to so-and-so, I unhacked my account. Thanks to blah, 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 I unhacked my account. Well, you guys, I fell for that. I found somebody on Instagram who was an ethical hacker. And how ironic is it that I was asking a hacker to unhack my hacked account? I was like, this is crazy, but it was worth a shot. I mean, if and I'll talk about that in a second, and what the page actually has meant to me over the years, but if you lose something like that, you're just kind of like, well, let me try what I can try to get it back, right? You're not just going to sit there and do nothing. That's at least not my personality. So I DM'd this guy, and I was being what I thought was very careful. I told him my whole situation, and I let him know exactly what was happening to me. He told me that he was able to do it, and that he has done a whole lot of other ones, that there's testimonials on his Instagram. Mind you, this guy had about 13K subscribers, but I'll tell you why none of that makes a difference in a second. Either way, he was telling me that he was guaranteeing my money back if it didn't work, that I could use PayPal, but I had to use friends and family. And you know what, you guys, I'm so much more reserved than this. Like, I'm so skeptical. I'm an Enneagram 6, so I'm skeptical of pretty much everything, and I was shocked that I even fell for this. So yeah, I did get scammed by this hacker dude. So what basically happened was he charged me a lump sum of money. I'm not even gonna say what it was, but he charged me that money, and obviously it was reasonable. It wasn't like something crazy at all. It was reasonable. I felt like, okay, like this would be worth it for me, but I basically gave him, the money, and he guaranteed it back. But of course, you can't take anybody's word for it nowadays. He actually said this would be done in 3 hours. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there watching Hamilton, and I'm like, how's it going? And he's like, oh, I just got the key code, and I'm just about to do it. I'm like, great. So just keep me updated. He's like, just be patient. And I'm like, okay. So then about 3.5 hours passes, nothing. 4 hours. I'm literally about to go to sleep already. And he messages me, and he says that the person who hacked me must really hate me because they put up a firewall. So there's good and bad news. Good news is that he can do the job. Bad news is that he can't do the job without $50 more because he needs to do XYZ and get this keychain or something to be able to do it, some tool. And I'm just like, great, I just got scammed. So that sucked. And I was like, I'm not giving you any more money. You can, complete the job, or you can give my money back. He's like, oh, I'll give you the money back as soon as blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, but never received the refund. So I counted that as a loss, and I sat in bed the next day, which was July 4th, until about 2. About 2 p.m. I stayed in bed, and I was just thinking, okay, getting myself together, trying to, process what had just happened. So that is my whole how I got hacked story. And I wanted to make this, for one, because I want you guys to be safe. I want you to be able to turn on your two-factor authentication, make sure that you have those codes, make sure that you're protecting yourself, because while I did fall for something and you can say that you won't fall for it, people are getting hacked so many different ways. And so I just want you guys to be really careful and safe. Things are happening like this also not just on Instagram. They happen on YouTube, they happen on your email, they happen anywhere that you have secure information. So just be careful. And I wanted you to know that no, while I did not get this figured out and I don't have my account back, and if this has happened to you, I want to talk a little bit about what that means and what I've been able to kind of take from this as a learning experience, because that's really all I can do. So first off, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I want to talk a little bit more about what my Instagram has meant to me. I started it in 2014, and it has always been a community builder for me. I started on it with no regards as to what it would turn into. I didn't have a business at the time. I didn't even have a thought in my head to have a business at the time. I started connecting with people and finding a love for photography, and I started getting things sent to me to be like, to review things and to be affiliates of things. And I got to know these brands. I got to know different people. I was even able to help to do meetups. And I'm talking about, if you're not from the planner community, I'm talking about the planner community in specific. And that is a whole little niche community that I've been able to be a part of for so many years, about 6 now. So I was able to do all of these things, all these privileges. I was able to meet all of these people. So when I first started my Instagram, I had just graduated from my undergrad, not too soon before that. And then I was actually going to take a year off and do some subbing, and then I was going to head into grad school. So you can imagine all the milestones that I have achieved and done and shared throughout these 6 years. You guys have gone through so much with me also on that Instagram, I feel like. So I graduated from graduate school, I got married, had my daughter Everly, I had a business for so many years, and I have so much content on there as well. And it wasn't just so much content, it was like, and if you have an Instagram and if you've poured your heart into that Instagram, you know exactly what that means. You know how much time and effort it takes to buy the lights, to set up your photos, to take time away from your family to be able to do this. Well, it's something that you love, and it's something that is so fun for you, because it always has been. And I realize I haven't smiled this entire video because I was talking about something super serious, but Instagram is fun, and it's just an Instagram. It's just socials, but it has been more than that, and I think that a lot of you guys can attest to that as well. It has been a community of people that we have found and we have bonded with, and it has given you opportunities. And so, yeah, it's hard to let something like that go. It's difficult because you have taken the time and put the time, energy, and effort into growing it. At first, it wasn't about growing it. It wasn't even about like watching the numbers go up or anything like that. It was more about, wow, this is cool, and people like it. People like what I'm posting. People like my things. They're inspired by me. It's more about that. And so, yeah, it has been really difficult to kind of let that go and recognize that. But I am going to do my best to take the positive away from it. And so that's where I wanted to talk a little bit about numbers, because the Instagram that I lost at one point was about 21K followers, right? But the thing is I took a few years off because I had, some things going on when I had my daughter. And so it did drop down, and then I started to kind of build it back up again, and I got it back up to 19.4, and I was just starting to get kind of like a groove about what I wanted to share and how I wanted to show up within the community. And so, yes, 19.4 followers is a lot. It is years of work. But I do want to make a point here, especially if you're somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of followers maybe, or maybe you're looking to grow your following. I want you to know that it's not all about the numbers. I am starting from square one again, basically, and it's pretty humbling. I feel like I'm already a humble person, but this has humbled me down to my core. Like, it is kind of like, listen, you are not your followers. You are not, you know, you are not that. You are you, and you are what you give. What you are, what you show up with. You are how you show up. That is who you are. And so I feel like if you do have a smaller following, or you're somebody that wants to grow your following, I want you to keep in mind the quality over quantity. And it's something that I had to learn the hard way, I guess, because I do crave quality over quantity these days. I do crave that connection. I do crave that involvement with me, because if I'm giving it, I also want to return it just like any of you would. And so I kind of wanted to touch base on that a little bit, because I am a true believer in you will get back what you put in, but I also am a true believer in things aren't always what they seem. While I had 19.4K followers, I didn't have that engagement anymore either. And you can say that for a lot of accounts as well, especially a lot of older accounts like me. And I am humble enough to admit that I didn't have all of the engagement that I used to have, throughout these years. There are a lot of dead accounts on that 19.4K Instagram account. There are a lot of people that have come and gone, deleted their Instagrams, whatever it might be. And so I just want to put that into perspective, because it is something that I have reflected on over the past couple of days, believe it or not. So I wanted to put that out there. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is the amount of support that I have received in this happening to me. I waited to the end to say this because I wanted to really address it and say that I have never felt more of a sense of community until this happened. And while I've felt sense of community before, I definitely felt like everybody rallied behind me because they could probably understand, or at least have a glimpse of understanding as to what it is that I was going through. And that's a whole lot of empathy. And I super appreciate that. Like, the amount of times that my new Instagram was shared, the amount of people that went into my DMs and asked me if I was okay and felt so sorry for me, like, it has really, really encouraged me, and it has really helped me to understand that community does exist, and there are people out there that are rooting for you, even when sometimes you might feel like you don't have any more to give. And I know that because I've been in this community for so long, that I've gone through spurts where I've thought to myself, I feel like I have so much to give, but I just don't know if I'm giving the right type of content, the right things that people want to see. And I'm just here to tell you that at the end of the day, you have to do what your heart is calling you to do. And of course, that's a whole other subject. But I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who, like I said, checked in on me, shared, followed me for one. Yes, it's going to take me a while to grow my Instagram to where it was, but I'm not concerned with it. Not in a, oh, I'm above that kind of attitude, but more of a, I'm grateful for anybody that comes and follows me and engages with me. I'm grateful for anybody that comes and finds my account and finds it useful and comments and DMs me and chats with me and wants to connect with me. That's what I'm grateful for. And whether that's one person or two people, whatever it might be, I have definitely found a huge appreciation for that. And so I thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you, because it was a low point. And I was feeling pretty low there for a second, and everyone really helped me to lift my spirits back up, helped me to feel more motivated, and just really confirmed what I had doubted all this time, which is that I do inspire some people out there. So thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Um, and yeah, before this had happened to me, I still have, but I was going through so many ideas in my head as to how I could give back to the community more and how I could open up these hard conversations and have them. And I have things that I've been working on. So I hope that you stay for that ride. And like I said, if you're not following me on my new Instagram, I would love for you to come and follow me on Instagram. This is my new Instagram handle, and just engage. And not just with me. This is already a long video, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I don't want you to just consider engaging with me. I want you to consider engaging with whatever comes through your feed, whoever comes through your feed, whether they have 1 follower, 2 followers, or 1,000,000 followers. Engage with them. Let them know that what they're doing it matters. Let them know that you like whatever it is they're giving or whatever it is they're putting out into the world. Let them know, because I promise you it'll come back to you, and it'll just make the sense of community so much stronger, because I think that's what's been kind of missing. And I could be wrong, but I think that we can strengthen it always. It's definitely been a small community that has turned so much greater, and that's amazing. But let's not lose the substance of it, right? And so again, I'm going to end this video because I could probably talk for days. I feel like I have so much to say, but there is going to be something coming that I'll be able to speak more on, and I'm going to do more videos. So I'm excited about that. I hope that you stay for the ride and subscribe and like. But thank you. Thank you so much. You know who you are. If you follow me in the future, thank you. I super appreciate it. And that's all I want to say. I wanted to give my story time. I wanted to make sure that you protect yourself from hackers. I also wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to hopefully get you excited for some things that I have coming up in the future. And so I'll leave you with that. Thank you guys so much for watching and for taking time out of your day to sit down with me and just listen. I hope that you took something from it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.